Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We got a great one for you today. We've got this info grid right here. It's interactive. When we hover over it, it's going to change colors. But when we click on any of these, it's going to pop out into a lightbox. Got service 2 there, service 5, and you can put as much or as little content in these pop-ups as you want, because you can make them scrollable. Great little way of advertising your services or information or anything else that you may want to get across to your visitors here. We did this for a client last year and they love it, and it's totally responsive. If I hit my F12 key, here it is on an iPad, and we've got the same thing. Of course, they can just tap on it. It's going to pop up and they can scroll, do whatever they want, close it out. And we've got it stacking on an iPhone because it's going to be too much information in a small area for that. So on an iPhone, we just got them stacking on top of each other. And again, you can just click on them, roll in there, scroll down, see what you want, go back to the top, X out. So let's get out of the inspector here and we'll get started. So let's start a new page. I'm going to go up to the top, hit new and page. We'll give it a name. And of course, we'll use the Divi builder. I'm going to go ahead and build from scratch. It puts in the section by default and asks us to insert a row. I'm going to put a single row of 3 columns in there. Now I'm going to use blurb modules for this today, but you can use any module you want because you can make any of these modules link to a lightbox, and I'll show you that in a while. So let's add our little blurb module here. Now with our little blurb modules, we want to keep them all the same size. So I'm going to have one little title in there and one little line of text, kind of what we did with our interactive grid the other day. So let's say service 1 for the title. And like I say, just going to have a little bit of text, perhaps describing that service in a couple of words. Down below, I'm going to have an icon rather than an image. So I'm going to click on the little switch to use an icon. Let's roll down. And we're throwing an icon. Great. A little bit bigger than I want it. So let's do some styling. Down below here, still under the content tab, we've got a link. I'm not going to put any link in here because we're going to use these to pop up our light boxes in a moment. I'm not going to put any background in. Let's pop over to design now. Icon I'm going to take down to about 50 pixels, maybe a little bit more than that. Obviously, make it your own. I think I'll take it down, like I say, a little bit more than that. Let's try 40. Okay, and I want all my text in the middle, and I want that icon white. Now, if I turn this icon white now, it's going to disappear into the background. So let's put the background that we're going to use into our row here. I'm just going to save my changes. My little blurb module, I'm going to go into the row, the green tab. Background's always under content. I'm going to go down to background. Let's throw a little image in there. Yeah. Let's throw that image in. Of course, you can use any color background you want, or gradient or pattern. I'm going to stick with an image with mine. Now we've got that in there. Let's go back into our little blurb module and style it so we can see it. Okay, over in design, in text, I'm going to change it from dark to light. I'm going to align it in the middle. I want to make that icon white also, I believe. Now the title, I'm going to hit the little paintbrush associated with it, take us straight to the design for the title. I'm going to capitalize that, perhaps make it semi-bold. Obviously, make yours how you wish. I'm not going to change the font. Divi's got a crazy amount of fonts. To audition one, just roll over it. It'll give you an example. Like I say, I'm going to leave mine as is. Great. Well, that's getting there. I don't think it's quite deep enough. So still in the design tab, let's close up the title. We'll go down to spacing. Let's add some padding top and bottom. I'm going to put 30 all around by just putting 30 in. It'll put in the pics for you. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. And we'll do the same for left and right. Obviously, adjust yours to taste. Now, so we can see what's going on, I'm fairly happy with that. But when we hover over it, I want it to darken down. I want to have a darkened background so we can see that text better. And also I'm going to put a little border around it to make our little grid. So let's go into our content now. As we said earlier, background is always under content. I go into the background. I'm going to give it a background color. I'll just click on the black. We're on the first tab here, background color. That's a bit too dark. What I want to do is when they're not hovering over it, I don't want to see the color at all. So I'm clicking on the color field here. I'm going to pull our opacity slider all the way down, this variegated slider. So we just got that nice image in the background. Then when they hover over it, and this is common to all Divi modules, if you hover up over the dark writing within a module, you'll see some little icons. There's a little arrow there, click on it, brings up 2 tabs. Desktop is when your mouse is not on it, it's exactly the way I want it. If we click on the hover tab, we can have a completely different setting for when the mouse is on it. So I'm going to click on the color field now, and I'm going to bring the opacity slider up to where I want it. I want to hint of that image behind there, something like that I think is going to work for me. Fantastic. Great, well now I see the shape of it because I've got the background in there. I think I'm going to give it a little bit more padding top and bottom, then we'll give it our border and we're done with this thing. So let's flip it back to desktop mode. I'm going to go back into my design and my spacing. And I'm going to up it to 40 on the top and bottom because we got that chain linked. It's going to do both at the same time for us. Great. Now let's put our little border in while we're in the design. I can close up spacing. And this is what creates the grid. Go into the border. I'm going to have 1 pixel round. It's the border width. I'm going to put up to 1 pixel. I'm going to make mine white in color. That's good. I'm going to take that opacity down just a little bit so it's not quite as in your face by clicking on there. And again, I'm going to drag that opacity slider because when we stack these, it's going to be 2 pixels wide. I don't want it to be too bright. That's great. Now, I've got a bit of space top and bottom. I don't want that. That's in the actual row itself. But let's create our grid now. To do that, save our changes. I'm going to go to backend mode. For anybody that's wondering what's going on at the bottom here, I've got a global footer there that we're using. We've got a contact form pop-up that's being triggered by this button. But let's go to backend mode by clicking on the purple button. Little icon left-hand side, wireframe view. I find it easier to duplicate things in this view for some reason. I'm going to hit the 2 little squares to duplicate this. Got 4 there. I only want 3 in each row. Do the same. And 1 more there. Fantastic. Now let's flip back to desktop view. And we've got our little matrix. Got a little problem there or 2. We've got these gaps between our boxes. Now I don't want those. Those are called gutters. Very easy to get rid of those. And the space between each module here. And also I want to get rid of the space at the top and the bottom. So this is an actual grid like we saw earlier. Really easy to do. Again, I'm going to click on my row, the green tab. We're going to go in there. To get rid of the gutters, the space between and below, if we go over to design and sizing, little button, use custom gutter width. We're going to take it all the way down to the left. And that will make them touch like that. And there's our little grid shape right there. And we need to get rid of the space top and bottom. I'm sure you're ahead of me on this. If we close up sizing and go into spacing, just put a 0 in the padding top. That's it gone from the top, hit the chain. And that's it gone from the bottom. We got our perfect little grid there. Great, let's save that. What we need to do now, obviously, is go into each of these, change out service 1 to service 2 or whatever it is you've got going on in yours, and we'll change up the icon for each of these. So I'll do the first one here, then we'll pause the video and I'll do the rest. Obviously go in there, change the title, change your little description there if you need to. Going to change the image and icon down here. I'll roll down there, put in whatever icon's appropriate. And again, we'll put the links in later to pop up our lightboxes. You'll see exactly how to do that. Save your changes, move on to the next one. I'll pause the video and we'll get this done. Okay, great. I've just done the last one there, as you can see. Now, if you get to this stage and you decide, well, actually, I want to make a change to one of my modules, you don't have to go through every single module and make that change. I'll give you an example. Let's just add a bit more padding perhaps to this first one here. I'm going to go into my first blurb module. Let's change the padding down in spacing. Let's up that to 50. Let's make that one a little bit deeper, throwing our grid off a little bit. But rather than having to go into each one, here's a great little trick. Just click on where it says spacing here. We'll say extend spacing styles. Left click on that. I want to extend this style to every blurb module, all blurbs in this row. I'll select row down here. Just hit extend. And it's extended all those modules. Same if you change a color or anything like that. That's a really handy little thing to know. Real time saver. Great. Well, we've got our little grid now. Let's create the thing that we want to pop up with each of these. So I'm going to start a new section below. I'm going to make it a regular section. Now you can do anything that you want with this. You can make the section as big or as small as you want here. So I'm going to add 2 columns. I'm going to throw a call to action in there. And let's say, just so we can see which is which, let's actually just do singular service 1. And we'll put a little bit of button in there by adding a link. I'll do this very quickly because obviously you're going to have your own content you want to put in there. And the background, let's make that blue. And I'm just going to roll everything over to the left-hand side. Fantastic. And we'll throw a little blurb module in over here. I'm going to leave it just like that. I've got no real content. Let's throw a little image in. And like I say, keep on building. I'm going to build this a little bit bigger because I'm going to show you a trick, because you want them to be able to scroll this on tablet and mobile, or else they're going to be stuck there and miss half the content on the bottom. So let's add another little row, and I'll just throw a gallery in there. I'm going to click on the little green button. Put a single column in there. Let's throw a quick gallery in there. I'll show you how to make this scroll. We'll choose some images. Put them in there. I'm going to go down. I want to show, let's show, say, 21 images. Not quite sure how many I'll put in there. Don't want those crazy titles or anything in there. Those AI generated images. Don't want any pagination. Great. So this is the section that we're going to pop up from services number 1 there. And like I say, we want to make this scrollable. That's really important. Now, whatever color background you give this section, let's go into the section, is going to be the background color for the pop-up. So let's go into the background. Let's perhaps give it a dark gray background. Great. So we've got this section. To make it scrollable, this is really important. Let's make that text white so you can see it in this blurb module. Design, text. Just turn that to light. Okay, the first thing we want to do with this section to make it scrollable is give it a fixed height. So I'm going to go into the section settings, over to design, sizing, and let's give it a height of 100 VH, 100 viewable height. So whatever screen they're looking at it on, it's going to be 100% of that height. But like I say, we want to make it scrollable, and it's really important you do this for mobile devices. To do that, go over to advanced. I'm going to go to visibility, horizontal overflow. I'm going to leave that alone. Vertical overflow. I'm going to add a scroll. Great. Now, how do we make this pop up from our services 1 here? Well, Elegant Themes have kindly written some code for us, and I'll put this link down below, this URL right here. And if we look at it, so about halfway down, we've got some CSS code. So we want to copy this CSS code from where it says body there. all the way down to the closing curly bracket. Make sure you don't miss anything. Control C to copy. Going to go down to my dashboard. Going to go down to Divi and Theme Options. That'll take us to this page. Under the General tab, roll down to the bottom and you'll find Custom CSS. You can do this in this additional CSS panel under the Customizer too if you want. I already got my code in there. Well, let's erase this and we'll pretend that we haven't. So I'll take it from the bottom and we'll delete all of this stuff. With CSS, it's always a good idea to give it a title. Makes things easy to find. To do a title, it's // Anything that you want to write between the stars will not be read as code, so it's a great place for titles and notes and things. Great. I'm going to put my cursor to the right. I'm going to drop down a couple with my return key. I'm going to hit Control V to paste that code in there. And I'll go over a little bit of this code in a while, show you how to change the color of the icon and things like that. Let's save our changes now till you get the little green check mark. Now we need to go back to our Elegant Themes page here. If we roll down a little bit more, we've got a bit of JavaScript code just down below. We want to select that from the opening script tag to the closing script tag. Again, make sure you don't miss anything there. Control C to copy. We're going to go back to our theme options where we were before, but this time we're going to roll up to the top and go over to the Integrations tab. Add the code to the head of your blog. Again, I've already got mine in there. Let's delete it, pretend I haven't got it in there. Once you get to that, add the code to the head of your blog. Again, put your cursor in there, left click, hit Control V and paste that JavaScript in there. Once more, make sure you go up to the top, hit the Save Changes, got the little green check mark. And if you look back at this page, it's a great read. I'm taking you through it very quickly. It tells us that we can create any trigger by giving it a class of button1. So that's what we're going to give to our module 1. And we can pop up any content by giving the content the class name of ETLB Content1, Elegant Themes Lightbox Content1. And for more than one, you just increment the number at the end. So ETLB button 2 would pop up ETLB content 2, and I'll demonstrate this in a moment. So let's copy this class name. Again, Control C to copy. We'll go back to our Divi page here. We want to go into our first blurb module. Over to classes in advanced, CSS IDs and classes. Make sure you put it in the class name and not in the CSS ID because it will not work. So let's paste that in there, Control V. Now I'm going to put a 5 at the end of mine because I'm going to start at perhaps 5. Because I know I've got other pop-ups. Certainly one at the bottom for that contact form with that there. So I'm going to start at 5 with our first one then. Now let's go back here. We roll up a little bit. There's the class we need to give to the content we want to pop up. ETLB content dash whatever. We'll go back to our page now. And the section that we just built down below, we want to go into there, blue tab for the section. We want to go over to advanced. Again, CSS IDs and classes. And again, make sure you put it in a class name. And I want to make sure the number at the end corresponds with the number I put in the trigger, which was our services one there, which was a 5. Let's save this, make sure it's going to work on the front end. We'll save draft. We'll exit the Visual Builder. There's our little grid there. Here's our first one. There's our little hover color. When we click on it, it's popped up that little section lightbox that we just built. And we can scroll it. We made it scrollable. Like I say, you can have as much or as little content as you want in here. It can be interactive so they can get on the buttons, fill out forms, whatever you want them to do. We've got a nice big white X at the top there that we can X out on. Now all we need to do now is go down, enable our Visual Builder. We need to create the sections we want to pop up from the other little boxes now. And again, like I say, you can have anything you want. Now, to save time, I'm just going to load some from my library. So let's pause this while I do that. Okay, I've just added the last section, and as I've been adding these sections, remember in each of them, here's the first one we did. We put a CSS class name of content 5. I've been going down with each of these. We roll down in the next one, you'll see I've incremented it up to content 6 and all the way down to our last one, which is content 13. Now we need to do the same for our grid. So if I just say those changes, we need to go into our grid and change the class names now. Advanced, CSS IDs and classes. And this is the button or the trigger. We started with button 5. So this will be 6. And we'll go into the next one. This will be 7, corresponding with the section we want to pop up. And I'll continue on. I'll pause the video. Okay, I've just put the last one in there, which was 13, or box number 9 there. So each of these boxes is now corresponding to one of our little pop-up sections that we've got down below here. So let's save our changes now. Save draft or publish if you're ready. And let's exit the Visual Builder. And here's our grid. We know that the first one's going to work there. There he is. And our second one, service number 2, service number 3, etc. All the way down to service number 9 here. And like I say, they're all scrollable, so you can put as much or as little content on there as you want. And we've got this big white X here to close out. Now, if you had a white background, you're not going to be able to see that. So you want to change the color of it. So to change the color of it, if we go back down to our theme options, go back to our general tab, under Divi Theme Options General tab where we put the CSS, roll down. If we look at this, we can roll down. They've put a nice little note in there, color of the closing icon. So you can change that color to anything you want. You can put hex colors in there, RGBA colors. For instance, just for argument's sake, let's just change it to red. And that's the actual position of it. At the moment, it's -1 viewable width. So if you want to move it, you can do that by changing it to +1 or whatever number you want there. Margin top is pushing it down 51 pixels from the top. And the actual size of it there is 46 pixels. So if you want to change anything there, you can do. But we're just going to do the color. So let's save that. Go back to our page now. And if we refresh this page and click on one of these, you can see we've now got a red X up there. So you can change the color if you need to, depending on what backgrounds you have for your little pop-ups here. Now there's one other thing. If I hit my F12 key and we look at it on an iPad now, they're stacking on top of each other like that. Which is okay. If you want that, that's fine. Just leave it as it is. And of course, they can click on it, pop up the Lightbox and close it out and scroll exactly the same way as we do on the desktop. But I actually, on the iPad, I want to retain its grid. And then on phone, I think I'll have it stacking because it's too much info for the grid there. I think it's okay to stack on the phone. So make that happen. We just got to write a couple more lines of code. And it's very, very simple. Let's enable the Visual Builder. And we'll roll down. We want to go into the row itself, the green tab. Again, we're going to go over to Advanced and Custom CSS. And don't panic. Anything I write today, I'll put down below the video. You're welcome to copy and paste, but it's really easy. I'm going to go over to the module elements. I'm going to roll down to the main element here. And inside, I'm going to say display, colon, and the word flex, semicolon. Now, if we check it out on an iPad, we've still got our nice grid set up there. But if we look on our phone, if we hit the little phone icon down here, It's just too much information for a phone, so I really want this to stack on the phone. So to do that, we can click on it again, go back into our row, the green tab. We'll go over to our advanced and back to that custom CSS, module elements, main element. And again, we want to roll up over little mobile phone type icon there. If we click on it, we can say on mobile, make sure you're clicking on the phone icon there. We'll say display, :block. And that'll make them stack nicely on top of each other, which is a lot more manageable with a mobile phone. Another option would be you could actually hide the text and just have the icon or something like that, or shrink that text down really small and still have your grid on the phone. But I think it's fine this way for me. So if we've done everything correctly now, we should be good to go. Let's save our changes here. Save draft or publish if you're ready. Let's exit Visual Builder. Here's our little grid. When we pop up, it's going to pop up our little bits of content right here. As you can see, it's pretty lightning fast. Great way for actually displaying stuff. I've thrown these together really quickly. Obviously, you'd have some nicer content to put in yours. And like I say, we made them scrollable. So if you've got a lot of content, they can still get to it. And we made it responsive. Take another look by hitting the F12 key. Here we are on iPhone 12. As you can see, they're stacking nicely on top of each other. And they can still pop out, scroll down the content. Click out if they want to. And on our iPad, we should have our little grid. Perfect. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.